This is not how you want to start your day, with one of these in your tire and your tire looking like this. If it's not a broken drone, it's a flat tire. If it's not a flat tire, sigh. So there is a gas station right next to this motel here, literally right next door. I guess the plan is to slowly roll the car approximately 40 feet over there to the air pump. Hopefully that tire will inflate, and then there's a Walmart like a mile and a half away. Think we can make it?
Boy, I can't keep you off my mind. I know it was just one time, but no one ever made me feel like you did that night. Press rewind.
Gas station is right here.
You felt me, touch me, I can't even pretend that I don't care about you when I'm with other guys. Boy, that moment when you got me energized. I'm distant usually, so come lay over me. We're miles and miles apart. Wanna get close to you.
All right, well, that's step one. Step two, get to the tire shop at good old Walmart Supercenter. Walmart guy is going to check out the tire. Apparently, if the nail went it in an angle, then it's fixable or not fixable. I don't know. I hate car stuff so much. All right, so the nice people over there at the auto shop on the case. Don't know how long I'm gonna be here, but could be a couple hours here chilling at Walmart, but it's all good. Gives me a chance to talk about something real quick. That's the topic of variance in poker. Sometimes sometimes I stop and think about these things occasionally, and I guess I tend to look at variance in poker and downswings and upswings, which is variance. I tend to look at that pretty similar to the way life works. So there's plenty of times when you're just cruising along in life, things are going great, job is good, relationships are good, everything is just clicking, things are just generally going well for you. You have great friends, or you have a great significant other, family's good, work-life balance is good, everything is just cruising right along. You're just happy going through life, and then bam, all of a sudden something will happen. One of your friends or family members will get sick, or one of the projects that you're working on ends up not coming through, and things like that can really derail you sometimes. Poker is pretty similar. When you're playing poker full-time, or you're just playing a lot of poker but recreationally, either way, poker can be pretty similar. You're really cruising along, things are clicking, playing well, staying patient, doing well, booking wins, and then all of a sudden, bam, everything turns and you start booking losses. The cards aren't falling your way. You're getting the money in good, but coming out on the losing end, hand after hand. Those times can really make you question what the hell you're doing playing this game, whether that's semi-recreationally, semi-pro, or for a living. You get pretty frustrated, but you don't exactly give up on life, you know. You just kind of ride the waves. The highs and the lows, they come and go, but you just keep moving forward in life. And I don't think poker is too different from that that metaphor of life. You have your learning experiences, you double down on the things that make you stronger, and you move on. It comes back to that saying that I got into a little bit in a previous vlog, where the saying is, things are never as good or as bad as they seem. There's always going to be another hill that is just beyond the trough that you're in, and vice versa. If it was all just one direction, no matter what that direction is, it'd be a little boring, wouldn't it? You would always just know what's going to happen next. Nobody wants that, do they? You just think about what each experience brings you, what each experience teaches you. Try to find a silver lining. For example, silver lining here, chilling at Walmart, chilling in the Walmart parking lot, gives us a chance to fly the drone.
Boy, I can't keep you off my mind. I know it was just one time, but no one ever made me feel like you did that night. Press rewind just to live it again. You felt me, touch me, I can't even pretend that I don't care about you when I'm with other guys. Boy, that moment with you got me energized. I'm distant usually, so come lay over me. We're miles and miles apart. Wanna get close to you.
Alright, I think we're back in business here. All patched up. $10 later, could have been much worse. Alright, plan is to go to the casino. Alright, I know it doesn't look like much, but this is the parking lot of a place called 7 Mile Casino, about 15 minutes outside of San Diego. I've only been here once before. I played 5-10 last time I was here. I think they usually get one table of 5-10, but I don't know for sure. Didn't even bother to call ahead, going in blind and just gonna see what's running and get in there and gamble. Just gonna hop in there and hopefully there's like a 5-10. So yeah, this place, pretty nice in there, but this is a much newer, much more recently opened casino, so rather sharp in there. Let's go. All right, just hopped in the 5-10 no limit game. Max buy-in is 3,000. I'm in for 2,000. There's also a PLO game going that's 5-10 and max buy-in is 5,000 and button straddles of 20 going on. A little bit on the big side. Maybe if I was in the midst of a nice little win streak, I would hop in there, but hopping in the 5-10 game, in for 2,000. So in this hand, I look down at pocket jacks from early position, make it 30 to go, and get 2 callers. 3 ways to a flop. Flop is queen, queen, 8 with 2 clubs. I decided to check it, but in hindsight, I think a bet might make more sense here, 3 ways, because it seems like there's a decent amount of holdings that at least one of our opponents could continue with a call. Really the only card that we're worried about is one of them holding a queen, but it feels like any middling pair could continue here, as well as any flush draw and maybe even some gut shots. So it seems like there's a decent amount of holdings that we could get called by. Anyway, I check it and the action checks through. Turn is an offsuit 5, so now it feels pretty safe, especially so. So I decided to try and get some value. I bet 110. The middle position player calls and the cutoff folds. River's an offsuit 3. I don't think he's very strong here by any stretch, so I put him on some sort of a middling type pair that I want to try and target and get some small value from. So I bet $140 and my opponent folds rather quickly. This next hand is the very next hand dealt following that hand with pocket jacks. This time I look down at 2 10s and I raise it up to 30. The middle position player, who was the same player from the last hand, this time he 3-bets, he makes it 90. Folds back to me. Don't really want to 4-bet here. Obviously not folding, happy to make a call. So we go heads up to a flop. Flop is Queen 6-4 rainbow. Somewhat safe, would prefer no overcards, but not too dangerous of a flop. I check and my opponent bets $100. Once again, feels a little bit too tight to just throw it away right away. Certainly not looking to raise, so only one real option here and I call. Turn is a jack of diamonds, which brings a backdoor flush draw. I check and this time my opponent checks back. River is another jack. I think it could be worth considering a bet here. I don't think we're gonna get looked up too often from ace king. Perhaps there is the possibility that he has a jack and he picked up a pair and then checked back on the turn. So I don't know, it's worth exploring. It's worth considering whether it's worth betting there, but I just decided to check it, and once again my opponent checks back. I show and we take this one down too. So this next hand, once again, is the very next hand following the pocket 10s hand. This time the button straddle is on. The under the gun player limps and it folds around to me in the big blind, and I have ace king offsuit. Premium hand, looking to put in a raise here. I make it 80 to go. I think I should have made it a little bit bigger. I actually tried to make it 90, but somehow screwed up the number of chips that I had in my hand, so only made it 80. Not a big deal. Just never expect to get any folds here, which is fine because we have a premium hand and are looking to play a pot. So the under the gun player calls and the button folds. So we're going heads up here. Flop is 9-9-5 with 2 hearts. I decided to check it. One of those situations where I don't expect to get called by too many worse hands. Potentially some flush draws, but even those hands have decent equity against us. So I decided to check and my opponent bets. He bets 120. Decent sized bet. But ace king just feels a little bit too good to just check fold right away. Backdoor, second nut flush draw, 2 overcards. He could be betting a decent variety of holdings, some draws. He'll have some pairs here, sure, but we still have equity against those hands, so I call. Turn is the 6 of hearts. Not really a great card. We do add the flush draw, the king high flush draw, but it will connect with a lot of hands that we were still beating on the flop that he decided to bet with. So I check and my opponent only bets $100, which could be perceived a couple of different ways. It's very unlikely that he's just completely bluffing in this spot, because if he was bluffing, I don't expect him to bet so small, because I don't expect him to think that we would just fold for $100. So since he's never bluffing, it seems like we're rarely ahead of much. But we do have the king high flush draw and the overcards, so folding for that price just seems, once again, a little bit too tight. For the price that we're getting, just doesn't seem like a good fold to me. So I go ahead and make the call, despite the chance that we could be getting milked here with that small bet. River's the 4 of hearts, so we make the king high flush. I'm not sure if there's much point in leading out here. If he does happen to have a flush, maybe he will continue betting it when we check it to him. And if he doesn't have a flush, I'm not sure if there's much value in betting versus those hands anyway, because I don't know if they can call. So I decided to check it. He checks back and I show down. Obviously we are winning if he's checking back. So we're gonna take this one down, and my opponent shows Jack 9 offsuit. So
a lucky day.
He ended up having us in pretty terrible shape there. especially on the flop. I still don't mind my call with ace king high. So it is what it is. Pretty favorable run out, you might say. Log run good appears to be in full effect at the moment. So in this hand, I open up pocket queens from early position. I make it 30 to go. Folds to the cutoff, who just happens to be this fine gentleman here.
What's up, guys? So I'm Leo. Play here at 7 Mile once in a while, maybe once a week.
Regular crusher here.
Yeah, regular crusher.
Just beats everybody, takes all the money.
Basically, can't win here for my life.
So Leo calls, or no, Leo 3-bets. Leo 3-bets in the cutoff, I think. Makes it 110 to go. Folds back to me. Leo wasn't exactly playing super crazy, so I just decided to flat here. There's certainly some other players from time to time that I will put in a 4-bet with pocket queens. Just decided to flat here, just based on the play so far that I had seen. So I flat, the two of us go heads up. Flop is 7-4-3 with 2 clubs. I check, Leo bets 200, and I felt like it was a little bit on the big side, but not absurdly big. So nothing super out of the ordinary at this point. Obviously can't fold, and not looking to raise because I think I just fold out all the worst hands. So I call. Turn is you know what. Turn is a rather favorable card. Turn is offsuit queen. So we basically have the nuts here, or I should say I normally say we, but in this case there's another participant in the hand. So I feel like I have the nuts now, and I check.
So here, I don't like that card at all. Pre-flop, I'd put Andrew on queens, jacks, 10s, 9s, something in that range. And so when the queen comes right away, I'm really not loving that card. And my initial reaction was actually to check there. But I thought about it for maybe 30, 45 seconds, and I was thinking that, if Andrew's got jacks, 10s, 9s, maybe even 8s, then if I check there, I'm giving up a lot of value in the hand, and I'm also giving him potentially a free out to the set.
Right.
So I decided to bet, and I don't think I bet too big. I bet 350.
Yep.
And so here Andrew goes into the tank, and right away alarm bells are going off on my head, and he's thinking, and I'm sitting there, and I'm like, why is he thinking so long? This is really a kind of a trivial card, because if he had a better hand before, then this is really unlikely to change anything. So as he's thinking, my initial reaction is, okay, he's got a set of queens here. And I was thinking that if he's gonna check raise me, I was literally about to just flip my king's face up and muck him. And then, so Andrew's thinking, and he's thinking for at least a minute, maybe a minute and a half.
I don't know if it was that long. It probably felt.
It was probably about a minute though.
Probably felt that long, but I don't know.
And so, at that point, he's looking at his hand, and I see his eyebrow go up like this. And it's something that I do when I have a big hand, because you're thinking, well, how do I maximize my value here? Do I go for the flat and then hope that, the river's a break and then the other guy bets out and you can raise? Or do you just raise straight up on the turn and try and get all the chips in? And so when I saw that, and I'm also, like Andrew, not really a big believer in physical tells, especially in live poker. But as soon as I saw that, and I realized that that's something I do all the time when I'm trying to figure out the best way to get value, I knew right then and there that I was already beat.
My thinking is that I put him on a big hand. I expect him to pretty much fold. I obviously fold out ace king if I check raise. I fold out jacks and 10s, although he's not gonna, it's extremely unlikely that he's gonna fire a river bet with jacks or 10s. I expect him to continue betting with aces and kings. Whether that's 100% accurate, tough to say. But I don't want to fold out ace king if he is the type to put in all 3 barrels, fire off with all 3 barrels. It's a little bit counterintuitive, because if I think he's like on the tighter side, and I'm afraid to put in a 4-bet because I fold out all worse and get called by all better, then maybe that type of player isn't exactly the type who will be likely to fire away with ace king, all 3 barrels. But sample size is minuscule at this point, so I just decided to flat because I thought it was more likely he would bet aces and kings on the river and ace king. I could keep ace king in there, Jackson 10s are just going to shut down, and maybe, as he says, he even was thinking about folding pocket kings if I decide to check raise. So anyway, I flat. River is an offsuit 10, which is a great card because it's not a card that should kill much action. I didn't really want to see a club or a 5 or a 6, and if one of those cards came, I was actually going to lead out, probably lead small-ish. But yeah, River's an offsuit 10, which I thought was a good card. I check it, expecting him to continue with aces and kings. And your thoughts?
Well, again, I was thinking that a 10 is another really bad card for me because my pre-flop range, you know, queens to 9s or 8s, you know, 2 of those hands just got there. Yeah. So as soon as Andrew checked, I thought about, you know, putting another bet in there. But I think I checked back pretty quickly, realizing that there wasn't really a lot of value in me betting there, I don't think, because the odds of you having aces obviously are very low, especially having flatted the turn. And the odds of you calling with a hand worse, like jacks or 9s or 8s, is basically non-existent on that run out and with action the way it was.
Right.
So at that point I realized, you know what, the odds are that he's probably got queens, maybe there's an off chance that he's got 10s, but there's no way that I'm getting called by a hand that's worse than me.
Yep.
So I checked back pretty quickly to Andrew's disappointment.
Fantastic check. Just owned, crushed. No more value for me. I get the suck out on the turn and get one more bet out of it. But yeah, I don't know. I think I certainly could have put in some sort of a check raise on the turn, because I could do that with some different types of hands. I could do that with like a combo draw that I flopped, some pairs plus draws, some different hands. I mean, again, it's not something that's necessary to stay balanced in live poker, especially when it's not a regular place that you're playing at all the time. So I don't know. I still feel like there's a lot of people that are going to be firing all 3 streets there with aces or kings, and 3-barreling with ace king. So there's definitely some merit, I think, to the line I took, but certainly some merit to some other lines as well. And
I think for the types of players that play here on a regular basis, I think your line is actually a very good line to take, because I don't think most people think on that kind of a level, especially here at that 5-10.
Yeah.
At least the regular guys. Yeah. So I think if you play here long term, that's probably a more profitable play than check raising and just getting somebody out.
Well, that makes me feel much better. So that's a moral victory for us, I guess.
Got to take what you can get.
I guess so.
30.
Got it into the gut. That was funny. You guys.
Wrapping up the session. Pretty good one today, I would say. New high watermark for the vlog. Records are being set here in San Diego, California. Booked a win of exactly 3.5K. Ran extremely well for the most part. There was a couple spots towards the end where I actually ran into it a little bit, so I was up over 4K at one point, but gave a little bit back, but ran, like I said, exceptionally well for the majority of the session. Game was really good. There was lots of straddling going on, so the game probably played somewhere like halfway between 5-10 and 5-10-20. Thanks, Leo, for doing that hand history with me. Cool to switch it up. Always good to get some other faces in this vlog, so you're not just staring at this one. And shout out to George. I think his name is Georgie Poker on Instagram. And special shout out to Steven. Sorry, I'm not sure if you go by Steve or Steven, but gave me this $10 chip. Fan of the vlog. Thanks, Steven. All right, I'm off. Time to go crash. I'm actually gonna book a hotel room right now because I still haven't done that. So hopefully there's one available somewhere. Tomorrow, I think I'm taking tomorrow off to try and start cranking out some of this editing, because even though you've watched the previous 2 episodes already, I haven't even started editing the previous 2 episodes. So I'm gonna do that tomorrow, which is Sunday. Today is Saturday. You've already seen Thursday and Friday, so I don't know. This is confusing. I don't know why I talk about this kind of stuff in the vlog. It's really just me talking to myself, you know? It's I don't think anybody out there finds this interesting.